What is the need for the natural materials in the interior design projects in the prevalence of ample man-made materials?
First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to express myself on this subject. Regarding the need of natural materials in the interior design projects and why should we go for it, in spite of a lot of man-made material available, which functionally is better, I agree in several ways. I would like to quote the doctor-patient relation that when we go to a doctor, he first of all cuts down on all our junk food, on all our oily intakes, heavy intakes of food that needs more processing time or more digesting time for our digestive system. It is basically to ease our metabolism and our digestive system so that the medicines and the treatment works well on us. In this case, the patient is the earth. The junk food that we are feeding her are the man-made building materials or reprocessed or engineered materials that are not very easy to decompose. And the light and easily digestible material food and treatment is the natural materials. The doctor here is we the conscious people in the industry who are working towards it and bringing this awareness. We all hear that the earth is being abused in hundreds of different ways by cutting trees, killing animals, extinction of species, polluting rivers, other sources of water, air, and all those naturally available gifts that we have. We need to start going back immediately in light of the global warming and rising temperatures before Earth reboots itself. As we all know, it has done several times in the past, and this has caused extinction of some very intelligent species like dinosaurs to within a whisker of time. It is for our own interest and existence that we have to look back and use the natural materials more in raw forms that has been gifted to us.
How will the implementation of natural materials in interior design project affect the users?
Definitely, it will have a positive effect on the users. Although not much noticeable initially, but in the long run, it will ensure the existence of humanity. It will definitely reduce pollution and eventually the carbon footprint. And if we are talking about carbon footprint, there are a lot of research done on it and its relevance to the building materials and interior finishing materials. Out of the statistics to quote for reference pertaining to this particular question, I being an architect, I would be quoting the construction industry as a whole, and we can definitely consider the statistics by 40%, which is accounting for the interior design and its finishes on a safer side. There are studies that shows that the buildings account for a third of the global emissions and a third of the energy for material used for worldwide. As we know that more than half of the population lives in the cities, and this would rise to around 70% by 2050 all over the world. Now we can imagine the consequences of that on the climate. The CEO of Saint Gobain, which is a major producer of construction materials, had mentioned once that we know that we can build buildings that reduce emissions, but why doesn't it happen? It is because we don't work together. We need architects, building material producers, builders, everyone to work together so that this goal is accomplished. A need a new alliance was announced in 2015 when people from 18 countries came together and created a consortium. There were a lot of researches done after that in last 3 years, and there are of course some positive visuals. People have actually started using the material or at least started talking about using the natural materials. The beginning has been good, but now it is up to all of us to take it forward and ensure that this is a positive effect, that there is a positive effect on end users and the end users actually start seeing it in reality.
Who should decide the use of natural materials in interior design projects?
Regarding the decision, there are actually two things I feel. One is the suggestion or choosing the material, and the second one is taking the final call. Both are very important. The architects, designers, project management companies, project managers, all those people who are involved in the building and interior decoration industry can definitely come together with an idea on board. Or they can suggest the materials alternatives to the stakeholders, the owners, and the decision makers. In the present scenario, it's only the owners of the property who has the final say whether to go for natural material or not. But there could be a possibility, for example, the municipalities, the different commissions, or all those who look after or oversee the trends or control the building materials, or who set the brand standards. If they set their standard and enforce a certain percentage of natural material to be used in interior design, I think that would be a great move towards accomplishing this goal. Then there are certain certifications like LEEDs, Green Building Certification, the Green Star ratings. All these efforts are also helping to convince the client that yes, we should go for the natural materials. I would like to quote that some malls give Green Star ratings to the retail outlets based on the percentage of the natural material that has been used in the interior design and the store building. I think these kind of initiatives should be encouraged and applauded.
Why should the natural materials be used in interior design solutions?
There are several reasons why we should use natural material. Firstly, I feel very connected with nature if I see a natural material used in interior design in different places. It has a very native aesthetic appeal. Secondly, it is to preserve or conserve the natural resources to be used wisely so that we have a certain amount of it secured for the coming generations. Thirdly, we shouldn't convert all natural materials into landfills all over the earth and have nothing passed on to the next generation. Fourthly, using locally available natural materials saves a lot of transportation costs. It will ensure the connect with the region itself and a further enhancement of and development of the culture and taste. Natural materials are a part of cultural heritage and it is a package along with other attributes like local food, local music, local habits, and several other things. So, overall, it forms a distinct flavor that sometimes is spoilt due to a foreign encroachment or use of material, or at least halts the complete cultural development, giving way more to the foreign encroachments. Lastly, the natural material are naturally replenishable, naturally available in abundance, and easily disposable or decomposable, which is very much the interest of the nature and eventually the human race. Also, the use of natural material assures a coexistence with other species as some human creations are killers for other fellow species.
When should the natural materials be integrated in the interior design details?
The introduction or integration has to be done at the initiating stage itself. I would rather emphasize it should be done before looking or developing the design. I think a designer should have a look at the natural materials and resources available in the local area and then initiate. Or even a case study or a visit to some inspiring locations with use of local natural material will create a mindset before developing a design or initiating a project. When you read the requirements with a perspective or a filter of natural materials between you and the design, the outcome will be great. Secondly, we should also take the stakeholders, decision makers, or the owners to those beautiful places designed and extensive use of the natural material and encourage them to use or allow us to use the natural material. For that, we have to create such beautiful places using natural material so that they become the benchmark references to encourage people to go for the use of natural materials. So, the designers do have a major role to play as trendsetters. Down the line, it is the entire project management team, including the sourcing people, the procurement people, the site engineers, execution team, the monitoring team, and the closing team, who has to ensure that at every stage the use of natural material is done properly. And they have to ensure at every stage so that in the end, when natural material is compared to the available pre-processed materials, the difference in finishing should not be questioned. So it is for us to conceptualize in the very initial stages the use of natural material in connection with the respective project.